All right, the first one is the umbilical harness that runs the motors and the temperature sensor in the part of it that goes in the soda machine. Its part number is 4221919. The second one is the umbilical harness that goes between the machines for the motors. Its part number is 4221882. The next one we have is the drop sensor harness that gets installed in the machine. Its number is 4215672. The next one is the drop sensor and temperature sensor extension harness. It is 4221881. And finally, the adapter harness 4222732. All right, the first thing we're going to do is take the cover off the control board. Take out the screw, lift the control board off. If you have a DEX jack, unplug that and set it aside. Our umbilical harness that goes inside the machine is going to plug into here, here, and here. So I unplug these wires. My harness has plugs that match up with the plugs that I just unplugged. These two are females. And then I'll plug these two back where I unplugged those. Now this one that I unplugged, there's a plug for it on my umbilical harness, but this is where we use our Y adapter. Oops. All right, now we are going to install the harness for the drop sensor. This harness has one end on this end and two ends on the other. These two ends go into the slot on the control board. If your machine has iVend in the main snack machine, there will already be a plug in the socket. You unplug your iVend from the main machine, you plug it into the connector on your harness, and then you take the male connector and plug it into your control board. You've now successfully hooked all the wires to your control board that you need. Replace your control board cover. Again, if you have the DEX jack on your control board, plug it back in.
Rolling.
You now are left with these plugs that need to be ran into the bottom of the machine and then plugged into the back of the machine so they become sockets for the cables that go between the machines, the harnesses that go between the machines. Now we are going to plug the harnesses from the control board into the back of the cabinet so they become sockets for the exterior of the machine. Alright, we are now ready to make our connections on the back of the machines. Just as a note, for our purposes today, we have left the pallets on. If you were installing these machines on locations, you would take these pallets off. So, the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to hook the drop sensor extension harness. Alright, now I am going to hook the motor extension harness. All that's left to do is to put the power cords on and then to put the cover back on the power box of the snack machine. So remember, when you go to plug in your power cord for your soda machine, have it on its own separate circuit. It's important that it has its own separate circuit with its own breaker. All right, now that our machines are hooked together, it is time to turn on the power switch and power them up. The next step is to program the snack machine so that it knows it has a satellite machine hooked up to it. The first step to that process is to find and press your service mode button. This panel covers your control board where we hooked the harnesses previously. In this hole here, if you put your finger in there, there is a service mode button. Alright, the motor count is currently 22. If I press the number 2 button, it will add in the motors from the satellite machine. Alright, now we want to press number 4 to go into configuration mode, and then number 2 to go to the row configuration, and then number 8 for the soda selections. It currently says snack. We want to change that either to can or bottle. I'll push number 1 and change it to can. I'll push the pound to save it, and then I will back up 1 step, back to configuration, and then press number 1 for single selections, and it will say that I want number 80 to be a bottle. So I type in 80 and push 1 and it is a bottle, and now the pound is saving. Alright, the final step is to go in and make sure you're on the correct refrigeration mode. I'm going to press number 4 and then the 0, and then it will ask for a password. The password is 2314, and I'll press number 7. The correct refrigeration mode is cold. We'll push the 7 until it says cold. Once it does, it will push the pound to save that setting. Use the star to exit out. Anytime you want to check the current temperature of your refrigerated machine, just in sales mode, you can press the 0 and it will display what the current temperature is. Also, if you see the asterisk, it means that your refrigeration is currently turned on.